it's time to work on the shop. So the plan in here is I need to bring in electrical. There is one piece of Romex run through all the conduit, run through this garage or the shop, and that's it. There's only a plug there, and some light. Terrible. I need a lot more. Before I get started on electrical though, my plan is to put this insulation vapor barrier stuff up against the siding, between the siding and the 2x6s. And then I think I'm gonna stud the whole shop and then add another layer of insulation. Where we live up here now, it's gonna get really, really cold in the winter. It gets pretty warm in the summer too. So I wanna try to get this space as comfortable and as nice as possible. So with all that being said, I'm gonna start cutting these pieces into 10-foot lengths because my walls are 10 foot high, and I have this perfect setup right here. Let me show you. So I know you can't see this on camera, but there's a seam here in the concrete and there's a seam here in the concrete, and it's exactly 10 feet apart. So I set up this piece of OSB, I marked black lines that line up with the crack, and I'm gonna lay my end down on that end, unroll it, and then I'll know to cut it at 10 feet. And then I'll just slide it down and just continue. Hopefully it works as well as I think it will. Well, that worked really, really well. So one down, and I believe 4 more to go. So now that I got these all cut, let's head out, start tearing off all the siding. Okay, so I have no clue what I'm doing. I've never done anything like this before, but it seems pretty straightforward. I was thinking about it earlier. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a few tiny little marks with a Sharpie, just so that when I put these back on, I can get exact placement. I don't want any tweaks or twists or anything when I'm replacing. So tiny little marks at the top, maybe every, I don't know, 5 of these or something, just so I know everything's lined up the way it was. Start with the trim piece here. I'm gonna do them really small too, because I don't want to see them later. I think I'll do that as I go down and unscrew everything. So I'm gonna start with the top, let the fun begin. Sweet, got all the panels off. Other than taking a while, that was a lot easier than I thought it was gonna be. So now I'm gonna broom this off a little bit, get some of the cobwebs and all the dead spiders out, blow it down, and we'll start hanging that insulation. If anybody's in the market for a leaf blower, I bought this thing on Amazon. It was really cheap. It works with DeWalt batteries, which is fantastic. I'll leave a link in the description below. It's a nice little blower, especially for the price. My poor clean shop's gonna get all dirty now. Oh well, it's worth it. Well, I think the best way to hang this insulation is with a staple gun. Put it up, staple it on. Unfortunately, I don't have a staple gun. I have staples, no staple gun. So I'm gonna run to town real quick, grab a staple gun, come back, we'll start hanging this insulation. Okay, I'm back, got my stapler. So the only thing bad about moving to where we moved to is we're pretty rural, and there's a tiny little hardware store in town, and it's an awesome place, but man, is it expensive. This little guy's about double what it could have been on Amazon, but I need it right now, so it is what it is. I'm gonna get the ladder set up, grab the insulation, and see how this goes. Wish me luck. I have no idea if that's industry standard or how to do this at all, but I don't know, it looks clean to me. Now I assume the next piece overlaps so we get a good clean seam. Maybe I should staple it. Yeah, let's do that. Wouldn't say that was the easiest thing. Wouldn't say it was the hardest thing. It'd be a lot easier if I had a basket. Kind of debating on my tractor with a pallet. I think it's more of a pain than just doing it with the ladder. I think I'm gonna do piece number 2. I think before I get too ahead of myself, I want to make sure that this is going to work. So I'm going to start putting the paneling up here. Also, I don't know how well the staples are holding this here, so it'll help kill two birds with one stone. Those little black marks that I put coming in handy. Got them all lined up perfectly. So this is a pretty slow process because some of the screws came out with the washer attached and some did not. Some stuck to the panel. Well, as I'm screwing the others in, the washer falls out, or I have to be selective on which screw I grab to put into the panel. Slow, tedious process. Well, I had to go to plan B. I wasn't able to find enough washers, but I had a bunch of self-tappers in the shop that have the washers on them. So unfortunately, they'll be a little bit different color, but at least we can get the job done. For the front and the other sides, I'll make sure I go to town and get myself enough of these. So, let's finish. All right, that's a wrap. I learned a lot from that. That was kind of a pain in the butt. It was a little bit easier than I thought it was gonna be, but a pain, like getting the screws all lined up on the ends, getting the panels to line up. I don't think the panels lined up very well because of the insulation. I think the pressure kind of moves them and makes them wobble a little bit. I definitely learned something from it to do on the rest of the shop. I think that's it for the day. I got to go to town tomorrow, get more insulation, and we'll keep on trucking. All right, we're back with day 2. I got some more rolls there behind me. And today, I'm gonna do the things I don't really wanna do. I'm gonna do that peak there, and I'm gonna do the peak on the other side over here. The reason I don't really wanna do these is I don't have a ladder that's tall enough to do them, so I have to use the tractor and a pallet, which is fine, I'm not too worried about that. It's just I'm gonna have to climb up and down to move the tractor so that I can unscrew the trim and the siding, put up the insulation, yada yada. It's not gonna be very fun. So let's head outside, get the tractor in position, and get to work. Built that drift trike years ago. It's an absolute blast. Go check my Instagram. I have a video recently I posted with my son driving it. It's cool. I hope you can make it out on camera. All the wasp nests that are up there. There's 2 at the peak there that are fresh. That one has a ton of eggs, and I knocked down one that was live. Had a bunch of wasps in it. Man, you can't see on camera. A lot of wasp nests up there. Now that the fun's over of me pulling that trim off and getting up on the roof, I'm just gonna fly through, pulling all these screws off, pulling the panels off, and then we'll move on to the insulation. So this door right here is a slide door. It slides and covers up that garage door. I really wish it was just a second garage door, or that it wasn't even there at all and there was one garage door in the center. Now's my time to change it, but I don't really want to. I don't really have the money to. I don't really have the time to. We're just gonna move forward, probably leave the door for a long time, unfortunately. All right, got all the panels off. I think I'm gonna use the panels as a template to cut my insulation, and then we'll start installing insulation. Fun, fun. Ooh, I just got nervous that I did it wrong and did it upside down, but I think I did it right. The white side goes into the shop. Yeah, I did it right. Whew, man. I was like, damn, what a huge waste. But we're good, we're good. All right, I'm gonna get the insulation stapled in. No, scratch that. I'm gonna cut the next 2 pieces using this extra, and then I'll go outside and install whatever I have here. All I got left is this little section here. I already got it cut. Now let's get it installed. I'm kind of torn on whether I need to add insulation over those 6x6 columns or not, because they're both right next to each other. There's gonna be no air movement. So part of me says, why not do it now? But that piece was a pain in the butt to get off. Imagine with the insulation trying to get it on. It'd be pretty tough. I don't know, let me get these pieces up and then I'll think about that one now. Ooh, that kicked my butt. Last but not least, the trim pieces on the top and on that corner. I'm gonna wait to do this corner until I finish the whole shop. All right, till tomorrow. All right, let's get started on day 3. Today, I'm gonna do the back of the shop. The back of the shop's not gonna be very fun because right here, we have a heavy slope. So I can't really use the ladder very much. I have to depend almost solely on the tractor, which means I have to recruit my wife, which means things could get a little sketchy. The other thing I wanna mention is, I said we're on day 3. Well, I don't work on this all day. I only work on this a couple hours a day, and I'm doing most of it myself. So I think if you were doing this with help and you had all day, you could do this a lot faster. But time to get started. First, I'm going on the roof. I'm really hoping this peak goes a lot faster than yesterday's because there's no doors or anything is in the way. I should just be able to take the panels off and just move forward. But I don't know about other shops. Like I've said, this is new to me. I don't really know what I'm doing. Right where that seam is in the middle, 2 different pieces. The pieces don't go all the way down. So I'm gonna do the top section first, then do the bottom section. That way, hopefully it's a little less sketchy. Now I'm gonna take those panels in, use them as templates again, cut the insulation, and I'll come back out and install. Well, I was really hoping to finish this wall today, but I'm happy that we got this peak finished. That peak was a nightmare. Dealing with this sloped section back here in the dirt, it made it quite tough. It's a little bit entertaining, but very tough. So tomorrow we'll get this finished, and then thankfully we get to move on to the easy parts of the shop. All right, see you tomorrow. All right, let's get started on day 4. Let's call it day 4.5, because on Saturday, my wife and I came out and we finished this wall here. This wall went pretty smooth, everything went on pretty easy. We had a little bit of complications on the far end, and I had to make a funny little piece here on this side. Some of the panels didn't go on straight, so it left a little gap. So I was able to plug that and good to go. Finished off with the ridge cap. Now we're ready to move on to this wall. So this wall should be the easiest wall in this shop. So I'm gonna fly through this. I have a 12-foot piece left over of the first roll. So I'm gonna use that, and then we'll open up the next roll. So I know this is a little unconventional way of installing this, but this is 12 foot long or thereabouts. I'm just gonna unroll it like this, the whole length of this wall. And then there should be a 6-foot gap at the end, which is perfect for one piece at the very end. It's also too wide. So I'm just gonna hang it and then I'll cut the bottom after it's installed. I wish all the walls on this shop were like that one. Based on the camera, that took under an hour to do, start to finish. That was super easy, super nice to just fly through. Like I said, I wish the whole shop was that way. Okay, now it's time to move on to these 2 walls. So I'm getting really low on insulation. So I'm gonna try to patchwork a bunch of pieces that I have left over from offcuts and the windows in the back and whatnot. So I do have enough to make some solid pieces, but over the doors, it's gonna get a little crazy. The reason I waited for these 2 walls is I have a piece of conduit going into the house, and that has the one piece of Romex going into it. So I'm gonna move it while I'm at it. I'm gonna cut it, move the conduit. I wanna put the panel in a different spot, so it'll be a little bit more work than just insulation and siding. So let's get to it. So while moving everything in front of the shop here, I had a little mishap with my shirt. So little wardrobe change, now we can get back to work. And of course I didn't get it on camera. So we recently bought this place, and in the inspection report, it showed that there was a bunch of moisture on the inside on the beams coming down. Well, let me show you why. This little room here on the side is an addition, and whoever put this edge cap, ridge cap, I don't know what it's called, on, instead of going under the roofing, they went over the roofing and just tried to seal it. Well, there's a huge hole there, there's a hole there, and they attempted to seal it all the way down. Wonder why it's leaking. So we're gonna see if we can fix that. So I'm really hoping I can just put that trim, I don't know what it's called, the trim cap, edge cap, ridge cap. I know that's the ridge, but really hoping I can just put that under the roof paneling, and then the water will just flow right on down. I'm not so sure that's the case with this piece. Luckily, I have quite a few extras in the back that I can try to experiment with if I need to. But let's get it all off, get the insulation on. We'll address that when we need to. Well, I broke my razor blade trying to get through that sealant. Crap. Give him like a throw. Get it up here so I can watch it.
Sorry, that didn't work.
All right, that's a wrap on this wall. Unfortunately, I didn't get to this wall today, but I'll take care of that tomorrow. It's gonna take me a while anyways because I have to move some electrical down there. I'm really happy with the way this wall went. It was extremely fast, and it was nice that the offcuts to the one piece were able to fill in the rest of it. Oh, and as far as the water leakage up top, so as you saw, the trim piece was going over the roof, so it was creating a dam, water getting in. I just put the trim piece under the roof panelings, so water should just flow right over the top. Shouldn't be an issue anymore. Hopefully it was just that easy. All right, so tomorrow we'll get this wall finished, we'll be done. Time to start the final day. I'm excited about today for two reasons. Today should be the end of this. Should be done with the insulation after this. Second reason, working on this wall, I'll be in the shade the whole time. That's gonna be great. So before I get started pulling off the panels, I have to work on that conduit there in the corner. I just went to town, got all the supplies for it, so I'm gonna start cutting into that so I can remove that, so I can remove the panels. So let's do it. Okay, so this piece of conduit, or this J-box here, has nothing in it. I assume maybe they put it here for Cat 5 or something, Cat 6, whatever. But I'm just gonna eliminate it and cap it, but I won't glue the cap on just in case I need it in the future. But right now I don't see needing it. I get internet perfectly fine in here with a booster. So like I said, just a small cap, then it's out of the way, and then I can worry about the J-box going over here. And of course, at the local hardware store, they didn't have any conduit caps, so I got regular PVC caps. It's all the same. Perfect. All right, cool. Now that that's done, we can pull off the siding and get this insulated and get this finished. Well, it's not really the way I wanted the siding to come off. I didn't want it to pull this door trim off, but it did, so we'll have to fix that. So I guess it's a good thing this piece fell off because I just realized that the door is not even screwed in to the framing of the shop. There's a massive gap up here. Here, let me get the camera, I'll show you. It's pretty entertaining. So you can see the gap right there. Like I can move the whole door. So I'm gonna address that, fix that real quick, and then we'll move on to siding. Crazy. Before that little fix, only one screw, this door wouldn't actually shut. I noticed that it sucked it in a little bit better. So now the door shuts perfectly. Just the little things. Okay, now we can get on the siding. So I'm hoping this goes just like yesterday, where I'm able to put one solid piece up and then use the offcuts for the sides. And I have an offcut from the window that I think will fit perfectly right there. Well, that didn't go near as smooth as it did on this wall over here. But I got the insulation up, looks good. Now we're ready for siding. So I have these little holes here from the conduit going into the shop here. I'm gonna move that to go into this wall because I want the panel here. So I had some extra paneling. Unfortunately, it doesn't match this paneling. It's a little different. So I made this little piece that'll go in here and cover up those holes. It's not perfect, but it'll work. See, it's pretty good. All right, here we go with the last piece, and this project done. Well, that's a wrap on this video. I'm sure glad this is done. It was a fun project. It was a good project, good experience, but I'm glad it's over with. So the insulation itself, I can already tell a huge difference. The heat is not so bearing on that wall. That's a southern exposure wall. And the heat would get on that wall and really, you could really feel it. So that's already a lot better. In here in the mornings, you can definitely tell it's not as brisk, not as cold as it is outside. I have some air gaps over here on this big door that I think are letting in a lot of cold air. So we need to address that later. So with all that being said, I think this project was well worth it. If you're in need of some insulation on your shop and you're not sure if you want to do it or not, I say go for it. It's worth every penny and it's worth the effort. It's really not that hard. It's insulation. Insulation sucks, right? But it's not that bad of a project. So next video, we are gonna work on electrical. You saw I tore that electrical out in the corner. I'm going to put that back together, put a panel over there, and we'll start wiring up this shop. We might also start some framing and some insulation, but we'll see where this one goes. Thanks for watching. Please stick around, like, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one.